Hey, what's going on? It's Billy, and if you're thinking about selling your home in the next few months, you are definitely going to want to tune into this video. Here we go into the latest market data in the greater Boston area, as well as some of the macroeconomic factors that are going on with interest rates and supply. All right, everyone. So if you're a home seller, this is definitely going to be an interesting one to you. There's been a lot that's been changing in the last month or so, especially. So hang tight as we jump into this. So we're here for the Greater Boston Real Estate Market Update Report for April of 2022. This is the data we're going to be reviewing from the month of April, now that that's been completed. And as we're jumping into this, so there's a couple common themes that we've been seeing. So for both single-family homes and condominiums, what we're seeing is there's a big inventory decrease for those. So for single-family homes, it's a decrease of 13.5%. For condos, it's a decrease of 19.7%. And so what does that mean? So we're seeing that there's an even lower volume this year than there was last year. And if you remember last year, everyone was yelling, hey, everyone, low inventory this year. It's crazy. Inventory is super low. So that's continuing to put upward pressure on the home prices that we're seeing, even with the rising interest rates that are going on right now. And so in terms of the top news, again, notable news that we have here to share with you is that the 30-year fixed mortgage rate has touched 5.4%. So that was the high that it's touched recently. In addition, so the Consumer Price Index, which tracks inflation, in March that came in at 8.5%, and in April it came in at 8.3%. So it's crazy that inflation was accelerating up to the month of April. It's now what they say is increasing at a decelerated pace, which means it's still really high, but hopefully it's going to be high and starting to come down over time. And also, basically, the Federal Reserve has said interest rates are going to keep increasing because they're doing whatever they can to try to get control on inflation and bring that number down. So what does that translate to in terms of the housing market, especially in the greater Boston area that we're talking about here? So as I mentioned, what we're seeing is that the units sold is decreasing, and that's not for a lack of interest in the buyer community. So there's a ton of demand out there. It's just the amount of units available to buy is down. So we see that here. Basically what we're seeing is, again, this, it's up big compared to March, but also March was down year over year, and April is the same thing. So not much that's really different story there. And so what we can see is that dovetails in nicely to the median selling price. What we see here is because inventory is down so much, it's down double digits, the median selling price is also actually up double digits, right? So that makes sense because you have, say, the similar demand that we had last year for buyers, but now there's actually even less homes to look at than there were last year. So buyers are willing to go up and above the price and continue to push those prices up a little higher. We're also seeing that there's a huge push right now from the buyer's perspective. A lot of people want to get in and get a home before the interest rates keep going up even more and increasing their monthly costs. And again, so in terms of active inventory, so this is the things that were online in April. Again, similar story. We see that the active listings is down pretty much double digits for single-family homes and even more so for condos. For our month supply of inventory, so that says, based on the demand that we're seeing, how long could the housing market last if all of the homes on the market just got scooped up? So that's only around a month and a half for single-family homes and a little bit longer for condos. And this is where you have to be careful reading into the data. So if you look over here, you'll notice that it says that there's technically an increase in inventory in the month supply of inventory, also known as the absorption rate, of 7.1%. I wouldn't really put a lot into that, only because the numbers you're comparing is 1.4% last year to 1.5% this year. So really, in reality, that's pretty much flat. So that's where you got to be careful of the data that you're getting delivered. In terms of new listings, again, we're not going to spend a ton of time on this month because it's a similar story with the active listings and the other stuff that we've covered. It's essentially down year over year, double digits for single family homes and condos. This is why we're seeing prices are continuing to increase. In terms of what my expectations are, I think interest rates are going to continue to climb. I think they're actually going to kiss the sixes, probably middle or end of the summer. and maybe even touching the sevens by the end of the year. I know it's crazy to think about. Just like a couple months ago, interest rates were in the 3% range. And really why I think this is the Federal Reserve has come out. They've shown their cards. They're like, hey, everyone, we are going to continue to hike interest rates by probably 50 basis points, 0.5% every time we meet until the inflation data goes down to around 2%, which is what they want to see. So they've started doing the hikes. They've hiked it 0.25% already this year. And then in May, they increased it 0.5% again. And that's why we're seeing these rates are starting to shoot up, is the Federal Reserve has basically said, like, we're going to keep raising rates. And so the market's pricing that in. So the way the inflation data keeps going, it doesn't seem like things are slowing down. So they're going to have to continue to keep raising rates. And so with knowing that knowledge that rates are going to continue to rise, I think we're going to start to see the fever pitch of homes being sold for crazy prices starting to slow down a little bit. So if you're a home seller, you're thinking about selling your home, you're definitely going to want to get it on the market in the next couple months. Rates are going to continue to rise, and so that's going to start to put even more downward pressure on homes. And as more inventory becomes available and interest rates are rising, that's going to be downward pressure on the prices. And if you're a home buyer, not necessarily great news for you either. You may be like, hey, if it's great for if home sellers are not looking great for them for timing, that's going to be great for us. No, not necessarily. I wouldn't think that. And the reason why is even though there's going to be some downward pressure on the prices, for home buyers, that situation is not going to be any better because your cost per month is actually going to be rising probably faster than home prices are going to be falling. So, and that's with inflation, the interest rates continuing to go up. So if you're thinking about selling, time's not on your side, and I'm actually kind of in a weird place where for buyers, time's also not on your side because rates are going to keep going up. So if you're thinking of buying or selling, I really would say you want to be thinking about doing that on the sooner side because we don't know how fast rates are going to go up. And we need to basically help you prepare for what is the known market right now. And the outcomes later on are definitely going to be unknown because the market's changing super fast. So that was kind of our crash course of what's going on in the market right now. So definitely glad to answer any other questions you may have. And again, my name is Billy Abildgaard. Look forward to helping you in your real estate endeavors.